what my only crime was being happy. That's all I did.
I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Buddy, now can you see me? Yeah, you can. Welcome to the Gym Pack Zone, everybody. It's been a while since you've seen my face on a Thursday night. I've missed you. I hope you've missed me. It's been such a long time since we've seen each other. So let's not hold off any longer. Let's not delay this. Let's not drag this out any further than it needs to be. Let's get right into the action. Here we're going to start with Ring of Honor. You know, it was kind of a filler show, I'm not going to lie to you guys, but it did have some great action and some great moments from some of the talent. I can't wait to get into it. Starting the show off strong, we had a Pure Rules match between Rocky Romero, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Rocky Romero, taking on the firm's Lee Moriarty. Man, one of the things I complain about all the time, guys, is that AEW guys will go over to Ring of Honor and get wins. I guess it doesn't matter if when your name is Lee Moriarty, because you can't get a win in AEW or Ring of Honor. I really enjoyed the Pure Rules aspect of the match, especially as it pertained to the finish. We saw a lot of rope breaks, and eventually, 1, 2, 3, you can't use them anymore. Rocky Romero, the wily veteran that he is, utilized a lot of submissions to get Lee Moriarty to run to those ropes, and eventually that armbar that he kept locking in, it didn't matter how many times Moriarty hit the ropes, no rope breaks allowed. Tap, 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 and Rocky Romero gets the win. I loved it. I could do without interference in Pure Rules matches. I'm watching it for more traditional wrestling, but it's the firm. What can I expect, if anything, but interference? It's okay, though. Good starting match for the night. We then move on to our Ring of Honor Women's Champion, Athena, taking on Angelica Risk. I don't have much exposure to Angelica Risk, but I am loving Athena's new character, her new persona, how she carries herself, how she speaks. We're going to get into her promo a little bit later. Athena has reinvented herself here in Ring of Honor as a heel, and it's absolutely working for her. She is ruthless. She is aggressive. Maybe that might have been an era in wrestling. I don't remember. But it is, if anybody personified that ruthless aggression, right now it is Athena. And great job, great reinvention for the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. Showing a very dark side after the match, in which, let's just put it out there, Athena won with a crossface. And then after the match, she called out Sky Blue, and then she hit Risk with the Skyfall onto the title belt. You know, Athena is... It took me a while. I always appreciated her. I'm at a new level of love and respect for her, and I think she's absolutely killing it as the Ring of Honor Women's Champion. I hope we get more from her moving forward. I hope we... not more from her, but I hope she maintains this level, and I hope she continues to grow in her role as champion. Speaking of champions, we're moving on to our first championship match of the night, which saw a blast from the past as the Ring of Honor TV champion, Samoa Joe, defended his title against Christopher Daniels. I know I'm not talking about Impact till later, but this feels like TNA, baby. This was primetime TNA. And man, it was great seeing these two veterans in the ring together in 2023. And they might be a little bit slower, they might be a little bit older, but they still know each other very well. And they had a fun match. They had a nice match as Daniels continues his quest to try and win gold in this new era of Ring of Honor. Unfortunately, though, once again, Christopher Daniels just came up a little bit short, and Samoa Joe gets the win with the Muscle Buster. I will say, I got a stat in front of me that's kind of crazy to think about, but this is the 92nd match between the two men. 92 matches, at the very least, I on TV. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me, and this being Samoa Joe's 10th defense of the title, nice way for Joe to continue his dominance against an old rival, another veteran, and a respected member of the Ring of Honor roster. Very excited to see Joe's reign continuing. I know Rev is excited somewhere. You know, Creative still doesn't have anything for him, but when he does come back, I'm sure we'll talk about Samoa Joe's reign as champion. But moving forward, we had our second title match of the night, and just right in the middle of the card, very weird, very confusing. But the Ring of Honor World Championship was defended. Claudio Castagnoli defending against Robbie Eagles. I don't know if you guys know who Robbie Eagles is. Hey, you know it. How you doing, bud? I hope you're doing well, man. Thank you for stopping by. And, of course, Danny, always a pleasure to have you in the Gym Pack Zone. I miss you too, my friend. But, yeah, Claudio Castagnoli taking on Robbie Eagles. This is Claudio's 7th defense of the Ring of Honor World Championship. And it's... Oh, goodness. I did not get bullied on the school bus. I don't take the bus. I walk. It's too scary on the bus. And the wheels just keep going round and round. But anyway, Robbie Eagles is a talented wrestler. You might know him from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Talented guy. I don't know if this is his Ring of Honor debut. I might have missed that if I did, and I apologize, guys. But he's a great junior heavyweight in New Japan, and he gave Claudio a run for his money just a little bit. Just a little bit. We got to remember, Claudio is in his own God mode right now. This is his villain era. And Claudio feels, as I keep saying, like the final boss of Ring of Honor. It's been great to see him be booked so dominantly. And even though he was dominant in this match, Robbie still had his few moments to shine. Claudio going for the giant swing, and Robbie is able to counter it mid-swing or like mid-attempt while being held into a submission. That was a great piece of wrestling between the two men. Claudio eventually getting the win with a power bomb, and I don't know who's going to take the title off him. I didn't think it was going to be Robbie Eagles tonight. That's fine, but when that Ricola bomb gets hit, I don't know if anyone's kicking out of it, except I guess maybe Eddie Kingston. But he didn't win either. So whoever that eventual winner will be, it's going to be fun to see. No, buddy, I'm so sorry. I don't think I'll be able to play Knockout City tonight. But moving on, past that match, we had a backstage interview where Dasha was speaking with Sky Blue. Sky Blue is not thrilled with how Athena is just butting her way into everyone's business and bullying the locker room. So she will not be bullied, and she is going to challenge for the ROH Women's title. See, guys, all you need to do to challenge for a Ring of Honor title is lose a lot in AEW. It's a very simple formula. It's a very simple formula, but it's working for Sky Blue, who has been undefeated in her time in Ring of Honor. Moving on, we had a 10-man tag where we had the Kingdom teaming up with the Varsity Athletes versus Stu Grayson, Action Andretti, the Best Friends, and I didn't have it on the ticker, but Darius Martin. I guess Action Andretti is the new Dante Martin. It's, a tough adjustment for all of us. It's definitely a step down for Darius. But I will say this, Action is where he belongs right now. Ring of Honor is way more suited to where he is. Ring of Honor is way more suited to his development, to his growth. And I'm already seeing the improvements. Granted, a 10-man tag, you're going to have a lot of protection. And he certainly is playing to that. But it's nice to see Action taking a step back from AEW in Ring of Honor, where he can develop, where he can grow, and where things will start to feel a little more natural to him. I don't know how long that might take, but it seems that we're going to see a nice little tag team between him and Darius, as Dante is still going to be, for the very foreseeable future, on the shelf. But the good guys got the win, as with a little bit of help from the Righteous, as Vincent came down, snapping his fingers, doing his thing, and that led to the distraction. and the good guys getting the win, and more importantly, a gigantic bro best friends hug in the middle of the ring to celebrate the win with the rest of Dark Order. Very happy to see Stu Grayson still interacting with his team because it's not happening in AEW. Moving on, we had another backstage interview where Athena, our Ring of Honor Women's Champion, is being interviewed. She kept calling Dasha Lexi when Dasha tried to stand up for herself. That got put down real quick. By Athena. Athena kicked Lexi Dasha out of her interview, and then calls out Sky Blue and how she spoke to her earlier. She tells her if she could just get the tights out of her ass, she'll be able to think clearly. Great line, by the way. Absolutely stunning, amazing line. And Athena just seems so intimidating. This is the Athena that I would have loved to have seen on Dynamite. This is the Athena I would have loved to have seen interacting with Jade. I know it would have been heel versus heel, but just this level of personality would have been fantastic. But I'm glad we're getting it here. As she said, this is her division. And just like Claudio in the men's, I have no idea who's taking the title off of Athena. She seems too dominant, and I'm all for it. Moving on, we have a singles match between Preston Vance and Rich Adonis. This was Preston's match to lose, and he didn't do it. He won. He might not be able to beat security guards, but he is able to take on guys way, way smaller than him. Truth be told, this was a good showing for Vance. Another guy who is definitely lost in the shuffle in AEW, but finding a good footing in Ring of Honor. He has more potential to grow here. He definitely had his time with Dark Order where he developed a little bit of personality, but ever since joining Roosh and the LFI, because I'm going to be stuttering tonight, it seems a lot of his personality has been drained from him. So if we're not going to be able to work on his personality, I'm enjoying working on his matches, and this was a good showing for the big man, the former 10. Moving on, we had another backstage segment where Action Andretti and Dante, I put Dante Martin, I miss him so much. I'm sorry, guys. Darius Martin are being interviewed backstage, and they get jumped by the Kingdom, who then, after leaving them laying on the ground, shake their hands mockingly. I guess this feud is continuing with Action taking the place of Dante. That's fine by me. Again, Action getting more opportunities to grow in a better environment. So I'm all for it. Let's see how much longer it can go. It's already lasted a while. So hopefully it finds a satisfying conclusion sooner than later. Moving on, we had another women's match where Sky Blue took on Robin Renegade. Sky, like I said, undefeated still here in Ring of Honor. She hits the Skyfall for the pin. It was a standard match, nothing major. It was kind of quick, but Sky Blue continuing to look dominant as she is climbing her way up to challenging for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. Moving on, we had Brian Cage of the Embassy taking on Brock Anderson. He didn't come with a Glock, and he needed it because, man, did Brian Cage kick his ass. I'm happy to see Brock back. I know he and his family have been dealing with a lot of unfortunate tragedy in their lives with the loss of his brother, Aaron's son. But, yeah, very happy to see Brock back. Wish that he was able to look a little bit stronger in this match. But Brian Cage is definitely being booked for bigger and better right now. Still 1/3 of the 6-man championship holders, and they sort of hinted in commentary that he might be going for a singles title sooner than later. And if he continues to be this dominant, I can't imagine why that wouldn't be the case. So Brian Cage, another guy who lost his footing in AEW, but finding a better home in Ring of Honor. Moving on, we had one more women's match here in Ring of Honor, and that was Willow Nightingale taking on Steph DeLander. If you're not familiar with Steph DeLander, she has been an indie sensation. You might have known her in NXT under a different name. She recently wrestled in Impact, and she did have an AEW Dynamite appearance. But more importantly, she has been killing it in the indies with Matt Cardona. So very happy to see her starting to get a little bit more exposure, a little bit more shine on her. And this was a nice showing for her. Again, this was definitely Willow Nightingale's match, and she got the win. She looked good. And Willow is just a treat. It is unfortunate that we keep seeing these people losing in Dynamite. My man, how you doing, brother? I hope you're doing good, man. I've missed you. I've missed you, and I'm happy to have you here. Thank you so much. But yeah, Willow is a great talent, and it's unfortunate to see these guys and girls winning in Ring of Honor, but losing the day before on Dynamite. Willow just lost to Saraya on Dynamite last night, got pretty beat down by the Outcast. And of course, we know the show was taped previously, but to see all these AEW, I don't want to say it, but losers winning in Ring of Honor just consistently, it just makes your talent look a little bit weaker. It makes your roster look secondary. So I hope Tony's able to find a way to sort of balance that out a little bit. I am glad Willow's getting her wins. I am glad Willow's looking so amazing in Ring of Honor, but it wouldn't hurt to let her win a couple in AEW either. You know? Come on, TK. But moving on, we had, let's see, what did we have next? We had, our main event. Wow, we got there pretty quickly. Like I said, guys, this was a pretty kind of filler episode of Ring of Honor overall. But, you know, not every episode could be a mega show. Let's see. Yeah, the math on those wins losses is weird, actually. You're right. Yeah, man, I try not to get too caught up in the wins losses because it's wrestling. It's always more about the story than it is about the statistics. But if we're consistently seeing guys losing in one place and then winning in another, that means to me, the story you're telling is they're not good enough for this place, but they're better here. So that means the level of competition is lower where they're winning. Weird situation that Tony Khan has booked himself into. But these are the growing stages. These are the developmental stages of this new brand that he's created. So I'm willing to give it a little bit more time to see how it plays out. But yes, we have our main event, which saw Commander taking on SAPs and Helico. This was a flippy match, you know? I enjoyed it. I've been a big fan of Commander ever since we saw him debut in AEW a month or two ago. And I've been waiting for him to get a nice big win. And hey, he won in the main event of Ring of Honor. I'll take that as a nice first big win for him. And Helico has always been an excellent talent, has always been a great hand to put in the ring to make other guys look good. And that's exactly what he did here tonight. He made Commander look good. I should mention that Angelico was accompanied by SAP's Serpentico, who, now that Dark and Elevation have been canceled, is definitely in need of a new home. And he's already been looking better in Ring of Honor than he's ever looked in AEW, continuing the problem I've been talking about. But I don't care because Serpentico is fun. So after Commander gets the win, running the ropes, hitting a giant shooting star press off the ropes, not the corner, mind you, but walking the ropes into that shooting star press. After he gets the win, they acknowledge the code of honor. They shake hands. What do we got here? Yeah, man, it was sick. If you could find a clip of it online, I'd go for it. It was a... Oh, yeah, man, they canceled Dark. They canceled Dark. They canceled Elevation. It's looking like the only AEW TV we're going to be getting is going to be on Turner Broadcasting in whatever capacity. So Ring of Honor is going to stay on Honor Club on online. Dynamite and Rampage and whatever this third show is going to be, Collision. I'm so sorry for this, man. Yeah, I got to tell you. But yeah, they're going to all be on Turner Broadcasting in whatever capacity that's going to be. Yeah, I know, it's a shame. There's a lot of talent that really deserved. They used Dark and Elevation to really lift themselves up. Talent like The Acclaimed, Darby, Jungle Boy. They were all really bettering themselves on that brand, on those shows. Maybe not a lot of people were watching, but that's where they were getting their reps in. So it's going to be hard. I know that we're going to be seeing a lot more house shows for AEW as the year progresses and as we go into next year. So I guess that's where it's going to be, or whatever indie these guys decide to do. But Dark and Elevation definitely going to be missed, especially for Excalibur and Taz's zany antics. But yeah, it's very sad. And but going back to the main event here in Ring of Honor, Commander getting the win, and then acknowledging the Code of Honor, shaking Angelico's hand, only to get jumped by Serpentico, leading to a save from Orange Cassidy and Bandito. You see, you can't get Orange Cassidy on the same show as the Best Friends guys. It's just, they're just never going to interact. A lot of young indie boys were sharpening iron on those shows. Those were big opportunities for some eyes. I completely agree, man. I completely agree. It's a real shame. I hope that once they establish Collision and they're able to really, hit the ground running on having 3 shows running, we may see a revamp for Dark and Elevation. It's not going to take much effort for them to change the apron as they're prepping for whatever main show they'll be taping that day or doing a live show from. So hopefully once things settle down, we'll get back to it. But it is important to remember a lot of indie guys can sharpen their skills here in Ring of Honor. We're seeing a lot of indie talent being brought into Ring of Honor. Granted, they're putting over the talent there, but still, that's why you're there, to grow and develop. And of course, Impact is another great place where we're seeing a lot of young, up-and-coming talent really start to establish themselves. So it's sad, but there is still light at the end of this tunnel, I promise, or at least I'm hoping so. But yeah, guys, that was Ring of Honor. We had a wild Orange Cassidy appearance. We had Athena being a badass. We had flashbacks to TNA with Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels. So very grateful for what could have been a pretty standard show having some highlights. But moving on, we are going over to Impact, where this was a bit more of a fun show, in my opinion. We had the very unconventional but oddly I'm digging it team of Moose and Brian Myers taking on Bhupinder Gujjar and Yuya Uemura. You guys know I've been a big fan of Uemura. He's been very explosive, and I'm really loving his growth. And Bhupinder is, he's coming along. He's still very much got that blue chip baby face, that white meat baby face kind of personality. But you need those, and everybody's got to start somewhere. But Moose and Myers have really found a chemistry that I was not expecting. I thought this was going to be a very quick tandem between the two as they were dealing with the fallout from Joe Hendry, but I am happy to see that I am wrong. I am happy to see that these guys have found something. I'm not necessarily clamoring for them to go for the Impact Tag Team titles, but I wouldn't mind them sticking around a little bit longer and seeing what can come from that. But yes, the heels getting the win, hoping to build some momentum, hoping to see where they can go from here. But Moose needs to be doing something. He can't keep winning the world title. He can't keep losing in efforts for the world title. But it was enough to get a spear on Gujjar and get the 1-2-3 tonight. Moving past this match, we had a backstage segment where Steve Maclin, Champagne Singh, and Shira were being interviewed. Were talking, going over their game plan for their 6-man match against PCO and 2 partners to be revealed later. Oh shit! Thank you, Danny, for saving my butt. I really do appreciate it, and this is why I appreciate you. But yeah, we had a backstage segment between the 3 men as they were prepping for who PCO's partners could be. They weren't, Champagne didn't seem that worried, and, that might come back to bite him later. But it was a fine match. It was a fine segment, pretty standard. Maclin had so much heat going into the Josh Alexander feud, and now it feels like it's not really there. I'm a little worried about his reign as champion. It was never going to be as long as Josh's, but I hope it's not a quick one. He doesn't deserve that. But man, I don't know. It just doesn't. Something's missing right now. I know I've been gone for a few weeks. I know I've been traveling the world and not so much the Impact Zone. But I'm hoping he's able to turn it around, at least for me. I don't know if you guys have been liking it. Let me know. Tell me what you think in the comments. But after that, we had a much better backstage segment, in my opinion. Dirty Dango, who has been the biggest surprise in terms of enjoyment in Impact, which shouldn't surprise me. He was always funny in WWE. He was always funny in NXT. But after Santino Marella's mysterious attack last week, Dirty Dango has stepped down as the authoritative dictator that he was, or assistant dictator that he was, and now he is the authority detective, or detective of authority. Nobody knows. I don't think he knows. But he is desperately on the hunt to find out who attacked his former boss, or current boss, or however we want to define that relationship with Santino. And he recruited some help from Joe Hendry. I swear to God, guys, I'm figuring out a way to make this happen. I will get Joe Hendry on the show. Give me some time. It's going to happen. But Dango's going through his board of suspects. He's stressing out. He's had like 36 monsters in the last 24 hours. I don't know about you guys. That sounds very bad for the heart. I wouldn't do it. But the moment he saw Hendry, things got better. He got very concerned about Hendry's face because I won't lie. Like I said, I've been gone for a while. I have no idea why Hendry's face is all busted as it is. But Dirty Dango was very concerned for his friend or stalker victim. I don't know how you want to define their relationship. But after attempting to hug him, he called him the best partner he could have in life or in wrestling as he flashed over and started looking at Tyler Breeze's picture. I have never felt so hurt. I have never felt so betrayed. I've been loving Dango. I've been loving his obsession with Joe Hendry. But, man, you don't got to do your boy like that. Tyler Breeze isn't even on TV anywhere to defend himself. Unless you are bringing him in, which please do. Don't do this to him. He doesn't deserve it. I don't know if he's a local hero, but he's definitely an international one. And he's the digital media champion. So if that makes him a hero in your local area, who am I to tell you no? I know, man. T Breezy getting knocked out right now, catching strays and nowhere to defend himself. It was a fun segment. They are on the case, very excited to see where that went later tonight. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But afterwards, we had a match, and not the match we were promised. We were expecting to see, I'm so sorry, Sami Callihan taking on Diener, the leader of the Design. But of course, Diener, being the wonderful dictator that he is, the wonderful cult leader that he is, says, "Nuh-uh, this is why I have underlings. This is why I have guys to fight for me." So he sends in Big Khan. He sends in formerly known as Connor of the Ascension to take his place. And Callahan is holding his own. He's dealing with a little bit of interference. He's dealing with a much bigger guy trying to squash him. Didn't matter. He was doing his thing until the Violence Army came in and just blindsided him. Guys, there's something very weird and very uncomfortable seeing an army of yellow-hooded men just rushing a ring and attacking a man and getting a match thrown out. It was very violent, some would say by design, and it was very uncomfortable just to see it. I don't know, but that's the vibe they're going for. They're going for Project Mayhem Fight Club stuff, and they are achieving it. You know, it's weird to think that they're out Dark Ordering Dark Order, but they managed it, and we'll see. I am attributing this 100% to Alan Angels. 5 gets it. So, match thrown out. We're going to see that feud continue. Happy to see Sami Callihan on the side of Angels again. And then we go to another, I told you we wouldn't have to wait long, another backstage segment with Dirty Dango and Joe Hendry interviewing the X Division champion, Trey Miguel. Last week when Santino got hurt, he was able to grab a clump of somebody's hair. They still have that hair, and it's very disgusting. It's not in a bag. They're just holding hair. They want to see if it's Trey Miguel's. Trey is able to pass the test. It's not him. The mystery will continue next week. We then get another backstage interview, this time Nick Aldis, the returning Nick Aldis, who's still returning. It's been like a month of his returning. Let's get him to do something other than speak to Jimmy Jacobs. And lo and behold, I think we're getting it. Because his interview with Jimmy Jacobs is interrupted. It's interrupted by Kenny King. Nick says, you know, when you first entered Impact, I was already the world champion here. So if you want to gatekeep now, let's try and make this happen. So I think we're going to get a Nick Aldis versus Kenny King match at some point in the future. I really hope this isn't Kenny King's role in the company moving forward, but he's going against a main event talent in Nick Aldis. Whether or not you agree with that assessment is up to you. Moving on, we have a knockouts match. We have Jody Threat versus Alicia Edwards. Again, guys, I've been gone a while. I know when I left, Jody was about to debut. She has since debuted, and Alicia Edwards was still a babyface when I left, but she's a heel now. Jody made quick work of Alicia, ending her with the F16. Fun finisher, fun knockouts finisher, and they're very clearly building Jody up, which they're very good at in Impact. They're very good at building the women up and setting them up in a direction that feels natural and with promise. You don't really see a lot of these women get big debuts to then do nothing. So very excited to see what Jody Threat's future may be. Very nice to have a babyface debut in the Knockouts division. We're not going to get any more of those tonight. Not at all. None whatsoever. None at all. We go backstage where the Motor City Machine Guns are interviewed by Gia Miller, my girl Gia. The Machine Guns, Chris Sabin recently got a pin over the X Division champion, Trey Miguel. So, of course, that puts him in line for a title shot at Under Siege. He's going to go for the X Division championship. So what does that mean for Alex Shelley? Gia asking the hard-hitting questions. And I'm not going to lie, I love Shelley's response. He keeps being called the best talent in Impact to have never won the world title. So he's just going to go win the world title. Very nonchalantly. Just going to win it. Why? Because he has it. How? He's just going to do it. So that's the Motor City Machine Guns in a nutshell, guys. Do they know how they're going to win? No. Do they think they're going to win? Probably. Are they good enough to? Hell yeah. So I don't think Alex Shelley is winning the world title anytime soon, but man, would I love it. Shelley is one of the best wrestlers. Wow, it's true. He is one of the best wrestlers to have never won a world title. So let's change that in 2023. Steve Maclin, just the guy to take that loss. We then have a part of a series of backstage interviews with Frankie Kazarian. Frankie talking about his time leaving Impact, going to Ring of Honor and teaming with Christopher Daniels, having that excellent run there, and then eventually leaving Ring of Honor and going to AEW. He loved his time in AEW. He has a lot of fond memories there, but he wanted to bet on himself, and he wanted to make sure that Impact wasn't just his past, but his future. Great line. Hope Frankie wins a title soon. He's another guy who he has a lot of gravitas because of how much of a veteran he is, how much of an Impact legend he is. I don't know if he should necessarily win the World Championship in Impact. Another X Division title would be all right. But hey, he's been treated as a very big deal since returning to Impact. And if this is where he wants to make his future and he can still go, and let me tell you guys, he can still go, maybe he is a good choice to win the title. I don't know who I want, Shelley or Kazarian. I do know who I want. I want Shelley to win. But still, I'd be happy for Kazarian too. We then go into that mysterious six-man match that we were promised tonight, where Steve Maclin, the world champion, teaming with Champagne Singh and Shira, taking on PCO, who came out by himself, guys. By himself. How brave that dead man is. But it didn't last long as Heath and Rhino come out, say that they've got problems with Shira and Champagne Singh, so they're going to help him out. It's a pretty basic match, not going to lie to you guys. We know what we're getting from Rhino at this point. But to his credit, what he does well. He hits a beautiful, beautiful gore on Steve Maclin on the outside, setting up for PCO and Heath to get the win over Champagne Singh on the inside. This sets up, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, as Steve Maclin confronts Scott D'Amore over Rhino's behavior later. He says, how could you let that be? D'Amore, being very philosophical tonight, says, I could deal with this problem for you. But just like they say, you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man how to fish, he eats for the rest of his life. So next week, Steve Maclin isn't going to be eating fish, but he's going to be eating rhinos. He's going to be eating gores as he defends his Impact World Heavyweight Championship against Rhino. You see, I'm kind of proud of myself. I turned that around right there. Going back, we had a backstage segment with the Coven. Guys, Impact has magic. It has witchcraft. It has supernatural magic. It has demonic magic. It has centaurs for James Mitchell to pleasure himself to, I think. It's very weird, but this is the world we live in, and the Coven were lighting their candles for Jordynne Grace and Deonna Purrazzo, as next week they're getting ready to defend the Knockouts Tag Team Championships against the World Knockout Champion, Purrazzo, and her future opponent, Jordynne Grace. When those candles go out, so do the women, apparently. Do I know what that means? Not at all, but witches scare me. Not all of them. There's one cool one. She knows who she is. We had another backstage segment with more magic, because this is Impact. Rosemary and Jessica Havoc met with Father James Mitchell. Rosemary has been cut off from the undead realm. She needs help, so she summons James Mitchell. Jessica had to stay behind. She's very nervous, but Rosemary and James Mitchell are searching for whoever cut off her connection to the undead realm and who has that power. Very supernatural, soap opera-y. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's silly and it's wrestling. We then had what was the match of the night on both shows, possibly match of the week. I don't know. We'll talk to each other after SmackDown and Rampage. But this has become a series of 4 matches now between Jonathan Gresham and Speedball Mike Bailey. The first match in this series was months ago, where Jonathan Gresham beat Mike Bailey by rolling him up. We then saw the second match go to Speedball, as he was able to counter a figure 4 into a submission win. Guys, I keep saying it. I've been a wrestling fan for 20 some odd years now. This is the first time I've seen the figure 4 counter actually lead to a victory, and Speedball did it. The third match got interrupted by Trey Miguel, because the winner was supposed to take on Trey Miguel for the X Division Championship. He thought he was eliminating the competition, but instead he just got 2 challengers as it went to a no contest. So this was the weird rubber match. We got there in 4, and man, the Impact Zone was all for these guys. They gave them a standing ovation, a hell of a reaction, honoring the hard work and the excellent wrestling these 2 talented guys have been giving them over these last few months. This was a nice back and forth match with submissions, a little bit of a grudge, and a lot of heavy hitting. Eventually, though, it is Jonathan Gresham coming out with the win, with the series win, making Speedball tap out to the Octopus stretch. Personally, I would have given this to Speedball. I think that guy has the makings of a future world champion, but Gresham is Jonathan Gresham, and that means being one of the best technical wrestlers in the world. There was no real loser here, and I can tell you the winners were the audience. So this was a fine match, a nice match to finish off the wrestling portion of the night. We then had another backstage segment with Sami Callihan, where Sami went to his not just friend, not just fellow man, but brother, Rich Swann. I won't lie to you guys. I didn't know they were that close, but here we are. Callihan coming to Rich, asking for help, saying that Rich owes him for everything he's ever done for him in life. And I think Sami's resistance against the design is growing just a little bit. Rich Swann is an awesome guy. Look at him. But we all know why you're here, guys, and that is because of the big debut. Have you been able to feel the glow? Here is Trinity debuting in Impact Wrestling. Trinity, formerly known as Naomi in WWE. We haven't seen her since her partner, I guess former partner, formerly known as Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, since the 2 of those women left the company. Guys, it was really nice to see Trinity get the reaction she did. She got a nice, loving reception from the crowd. She immediately feels like a big deal. She still feels like Naomi, but she's going to inject the Knockouts division with a little bit of fierceness, a little bit of glow, and she's already interjecting herself into the main event scene. And she was confronted by Knockouts World Champion Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna says she's looking forward to meeting her in the ring, but unlike other things, she cannot walk away from that. That was a good line. I'm not going to lie. The women were killing it tonight on the mic. both companies. As the two women are face-to-face, nose-to-nose, they are interrupted by Deanna's challenger, Jordynne Grace. Guys, we got a triple threat chant. We had three impressive athletes of very different backgrounds, of very different styles in the ring. This is what Impact has, the best women's division in wrestling. And I'm glad that Trinity acknowledged that when she got in the ring and she was addressing the crowd. She did talk about how her life has changed in this last year, how so many things are different, both personal and professional. And she came to Impact because of what the Knockouts division means to so many wrestlers and to the wrestling scene in general. I'm very excited to see what her future may hold. I'm very excited for the Knockouts division in general. This is going to be a very exciting time with a lot of talent just ready and bursting to go for that title. You have Killer Kelly. You have Masha Slamovich. You have Taylor Wilde. You have the champion Deonna Purrazzo. You have Jordynne Grace. You have Trinity. You have so many women who are just so ready to take that spotlight, and it's going to be a good time to be a women's wrestling fan. But guys, this was it. This was my return to the Gym Pack Zone of Honor, or whatever we're calling it, trademark pending. But I missed you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. You know the deal. We have lots of social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I don't know if we have a MySpace. Does anybody? If you do, go check us out on there. But more importantly, please, if you liked what you heard tonight, if you like the words coming out of my mouth, please give this video a like. If you haven't been, if you're not a follower, if you're not subscribed to us, but you liked it, give us a sub. We really do appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. We love you. I've missed you. I will be back again next week. I promise. And until then, watch wrestling, watch Impact, watch Ring of Honor. Have a good night, guys.